Hello everyone. Welcome to lesson 3 of this course. Today, we're diving into something really exciting: how to generate amazing images using just text prompts. Yep, we're talking about prompt engineering for AI image generation. If you've ever wondered how people create those jaw-dropping, hyper-realistic or artistic AI visuals, this is where it all begins. The secret lies in how you craft your prompt. And don't worry, we've broken it down into a formula that makes it super easy, even if you're new to this. In this lesson, we'll explore how AI actually understands text, what visual elements matter the most, and how to use our IMAGES formula to guide the AI exactly the way you want. So, let's get started and see how words can turn into beautiful visuals. Alright, before we jump in, here's a quick look at what we're going to cover in this lesson. First, we'll start with the basics: what image generation through text prompts really is, and how these AI tools actually interpret what you type. Next, we'll break down the visual elements that make an image stand out, things like the subject, mood, style, background, and all the little details that make it pop. Then we'll go over the IMAGES formula. It's our step-by-step method to help you write high-quality prompts, and we'll go through each part of the formula in detail: identity, mood, art style, geography, effects, and shot and format. We'll also talk about which parts are always necessary, and which ones depend on your image type. After that, we'll zoom in on identity. This is where your image idea takes shape. You'll learn how to define your subject clearly, and how to handle characters, outfits, props, and all that good stuff. Then we'll move into setting the right mood and picking an art style that fits your idea. We'll check out some popular styles like 3D, anime, Pixar, and more. Once that's done, we'll explore how to set the scene. That means describing the environment, time of day, weather, and those tiny background details that bring it all together. Next, we'll look at special effects, lighting, particles, textures, and how to use them to level up your image. After that, it's all about framing and formatting, the camera shot, image ratio, resolution, and how to make your output look clean and professional. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with real examples. I'll show you weak versus strong prompts, and we'll do a live build using the IMAGES formula. Plus, there'll be a little practice activity for you to try it out yourself. So let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the basics. What is image generation using text prompts? Well, it's the process of creating images using nothing but descriptive language. You don't need a pen, a paintbrush, or any fancy design software. All you do is type out what you want to see, and boom, the AI brings that vision to life. Tools like MidJourney, DALL, Ideogram, and Leonardo AI take your prompt and turn it into a detailed visual, often within seconds. These platforms are trained on millions of images and styles. So when you write something like, "a cyberpunk city at night with glowing signs," the AI already knows what that looks like, and creates something based on that description. The best part? It's super fast, flexible, and easy. Anyone can do it, even if you have zero design or drawing experience. Pretty cool, right? So, how does the AI actually understand your prompt? Well, it breaks it down into key parts. First, it looks at what's in the image, like the main subject, any objects, or characters. Then, it checks how it should look. That includes the art style, lighting, and color scheme. Next, it figures out where the image is set, the background, the environment, and even the weather. Then it asks, what's the emotion or story here? Is it dark, dreamy, heroic, or peaceful? Finally, the AI looks at how the whole image should be framed, like the camera angle, shot type, and resolution. Basically, the more organized and detailed your prompt is, the better and more accurate your result will be. And that's exactly why we use structured methods like the IMAGES formula. It helps you include everything the AI needs to know, from subject and style, to mood and effects, to the final format. AI image generation is being used pretty much everywhere now. Let's look at some of the coolest use cases. First up, branding and marketing. You can create logos, product mockups, packaging designs, all with just a prompt. Then there's YouTube thumbnails and social media. Want eye-catching, scroll-stopping visuals? You can design them exactly how you imagine, with full control over characters, colors, and emotions. Next, we have concept art and game design. This is a big one. Artists use AI to build characters, fantasy worlds, landscapes, even alien creatures. Product visualization is another huge area. Fashion designers, tech creators, even architects, they're using prompts to preview ideas before anything is built. AI is also transforming education. It helps visualize abstract ideas for courses, infographics, and training materials. And finally, storytelling and world building. You can literally create entire universes, like futuristic cities or ancient kingdoms, using nothing but your words. It's powerful stuff, and we're just getting started. Let's talk about what actually makes an image visually compelling. It's not just about looking beautiful, it's about being intentional. Every great image, whether it's a fantasy warrior, a cool tech product, or a dreamy mountain landscape, has certain visual elements working together. And they're all doing a job, telling a story, creating emotion, or guiding the viewer's focus. The same thing applies to AI-generated images. If you understand how these building blocks work, you can shape your prompt in a way that gives you results that look polished, cinematic, or emotionally powerful, not just random or generic. Alright, now let's break down the core components of a strong image prompt. To get powerful results from AI image tools, you need to think about 6 key things. These are like the ingredients in a recipe. Each one adds something important to the final image. First up, the subject. Who or what is the main focus? It could be a lone astronaut, a glowing jellyfish, or a futuristic car. Second, the style. What should the artwork look like? Maybe anime, ultra-realistic, watercolor, or even a gritty cyberpunk digital painting. Third is the mood. What kind of emotion or atmosphere are you going for? Peaceful, epic, creepy, nostalgic, this sets the whole tone. Fourth, the setting. Where is your scene happening? Think about the environment and background. It might be a neon-lit alley, forest ruins, an alien desert, or a cozy cafe. Fifth, we've got effects. These are your enhancements: fog, glowing particles, rain, firelight, energy auras. Things that give the image a vibe. And finally, composition. How do you want the image to be framed or formatted? Full body close-up, top-down shot, a vertical poster crop? This affects the overall structure. All 6 of these components are the foundation of the IMAGES formula. When you include these elements in your prompt, you give the AI exactly what it needs to create something stunning. Let's talk about the difference between human and non-human prompts, because not all prompts are the same. When you're working with human or character-centered prompts, you usually need more details about the subject's identity. That means things like gender, age, outfit, pose, facial expression, and even props they're holding. For example, you might write something like, a young female warrior in leather armor, standing in a storm, holding a glowing blade. See how detailed that is? Now, on the flip side, non-human or object-centered prompts shift the focus. These are about things like architecture, vehicles, animals, environments, or even abstract designs. In these cases, you care more about the style, the setting, the mood, and overall design, not what the character is wearing. Like this. A glowing alien temple surrounded by floating rocks under a stormy sky, in concept art style. That's a strong non-human image prompt. The great thing is, the IMAGES formula works for both. You just fill in what's relevant, and skip what doesn't apply. Simple as that. Now that you've got a good understanding of visual elements, it's time to introduce the framework that pulls it all together. Say hello to the IMAGES formula. This simple yet powerful structure helps you write clear, detailed prompts that guide the AI exactly how you want, with precision, style, and control. Each letter in IMAGES stands for one key area of visual control. When you use it, you're not just describing an image, you're directing the entire creative process from identity to emotion, art style to effects, and even how the image is framed. Let's break it down step by step. Alright, let's kick off with the first part of the formula, I for identity. This is where you describe who or what your image is really about. You're defining the subject and your overall vision. Start with a one-liner image idea, basically, the entire scene in a sentence. Something like, a futuristic samurai walking through a neon-lit alley at night. This sets the stage. Next, identify the subject type. Is it a human, robot, elf, dragon, vehicle? Just be clear about what's in focus. Then, if it applies, add the role of the subject. Maybe they're a warrior, a monk, a traveler, or a queen. This adds depth to your character. You can also include gender and age, like a 25-year-old female or a 40-year-old male, especially if you want a more personalized look. Then, go into physical features, things like silver hair, glowing eyes, robotic limbs. These details really help the AI understand the look you're aiming for. Don't forget the outfit. Is your subject wearing armor, a kimono, a business suit? Clothing can instantly define the setting or time period. And if they're holding or interacting with anything, mention the props, like a sword, a backpack, or a scroll. This makes your prompt more dynamic. Finally, add the pose or action, whether they're walking, sitting, meditating, or leaping through the air. This brings your image to life. Now remember, not all of these are mandatory. Use the ones that fit your idea best. Identity is all about clarity, because if the AI doesn't know who your subject is, the whole image can feel vague. Alright, moving on to the next three parts of the formula: M for mood, A for art style, and G for geography. These are the building blocks that shape the vibe, look, and location of your image. Let's start with mood. This is all about setting the emotional tone. Do you want the image to feel heroic, dark, peaceful, melancholic, or surreal? That single word can shift the entire atmosphere of the scene. And if you're working with a character, you can go a step further and describe their emotion or expression, like calm, fierce, mysterious, or even laughing. It gives life to your subject. Now let's talk about art style. This is where you define the visual feel of the image. Do you want something ultra-realistic, like a photograph? Or a 3D render, anime style, Pixar style, oil painting, or even digital art? You can also include a rendering type, if needed, like concept art, a rough sketch, isometric design, or matte painting. These give the AI more specific instructions. And don't forget about the color palette. It's optional, but super useful. You can go with neon, warm tones, black and white, or pastels, whatever matches the mood of your scene. Next is geography. Basically, where is your scene taking place? Describe the environment or location clearly. Is it a neon city, an enchanted forest, a desert temple, or maybe deep space? Then, add the time of day, like sunrise, golden hour, or nighttime. This changes the lighting and mood dramatically. Include the weather, if it's important. Is it foggy, stormy, snowy, or sunny? And finally, mention any interesting background elements, like ruins, floating rocks, neon signs, or a burning sky. These little touches bring your scene to life. So together, mood, art style, and geography shape the soul, the visuals, and the setting of your image. Now we're at the last two parts of the formula, E for effects, and S for shot type. These are like the finishing touches that really make your image pop. Let's start with effects. Think of this as adding that extra visual spice. First up is lighting. You can go with firelight, cinematic lighting, an ambient glow, spotlight, or even moonlight. Each one sets a different tone. Then there are special effects. These can be really cool, like floating particles, rain, light beams, glowing energy auras, smoke trails, stuff that gives your image movement and magic. And if you want to take it a step further, you can describe textures, things like metallic skin, silk fabric, cracked ground, or wet surfaces. These small details can make the visuals feel way more realistic or artistic. Now for the final section, shot type. This tells the AI how to frame and format your image. Start with the camera shot. Do you want a full body shot, a close-up, a wide shot, or something in the middle? Then add the angle, like eye level, low angle, top down, or even a dramatic Dutch tilt. That one's great for action scenes or tension. Next is aspect ratio. That's the shape of your image. Choose based on where you'll use it. 9:16 is perfect for Instagram Reels or TikTok. 16:9 is good for YouTube or desktop. And 1:1 is that clean square for posts or profile images. Don't forget the quality. Go for 4K or even 8K if your tool supports it. Higher quality means sharper, more professional results. Lastly, you can add a few constraints, like no text, no logos, no blur, no watermarks, or no extra characters. These are optional, but super helpful when you want clean results. And here's a final tip. Use all the required fields marked with a star. They're essential. Include the, if applicable, ones only when they match your subject. And the optional ones? Use them only if they enhance your vision. That's the full IMAGES formula. It's flexible, powerful, and it'll help you create way better AI images every time. Let's move on to how it all comes together in real prompts. Alright, let's dive into the first and most important part of the formula, identity. The I in IMAGES stands for identity. And honestly, this is the heart of your image prompt. It's the foundation. If your identity is clear, the rest of the prompt becomes so much easier to build. This is where you define what your image is really about. Who or what is the main subject? What's the scene? What are they doing? And how should they look? Think of it like telling the AI, hey, this is the star of the show, now make it awesome. Without a clear identity, your image might feel random or disconnected. But when your identity is solid, the AI knows exactly what to focus on. Let's break it down step by step next. So, how do you actually define your subject and scene in a way that's clear and inspiring? Start simple. Just write a one-liner image idea, one sentence that paints the full picture in your head. Think of it like giving the AI a movie still or a snapshot in words. Here are a few solid examples. A futuristic samurai walking through a neon-lit alley at night, a giant tree floating above the clouds during sunrise, or a female astronaut drifting in zero gravity inside a spaceship. Each of these is short, but super visual. It sets the entire direction of the prompt, the vibe, the setting, even the mood, all in one go. Once you've got that one-liner down, everything else starts falling into place. Now let's break down how to describe your subject more clearly using a few key sub-elements. First up, we've got subject type. This one is always required. What is the main focus of your image? Is it a human, a dragon, a robot, an elf, maybe even a magical orb or a flying vehicle? That's your subject type. It sets the base of your visual. Next, we have role. Use this if it fits your subject. What kind of character is it? Are they a warrior, a queen, a traveler, maybe an assassin or an explorer? This helps the AI give your subject personality and purpose. Then comes the outfit, again, only if it makes sense. What's the subject wearing? It could be robes, high-tech armor, a cyber suit, or a hooded cloak. The clothing adds a lot to the story and the style. And finally, we've got props. These are the objects your subject is holding or interacting with. A sword, a scroll, a glowing lantern, a staff, a briefcase, whatever fits your idea. Using these 4 elements gives your prompt way more clarity and control. Just remember, subject type is always needed, and the rest are added only when they apply. Let's talk about writing strong one-liner image ideas. Your one-liner is basically the heart of your prompt. It should describe both the subject and the scene, all in one short sentence. You also want to give a little vibe of the mood or the setting to bring it to life. Now keep it simple and tight. Around 10 to 15 words is the sweet spot. Here's a bad example. Samurai. Yeah, that doesn't really tell the AI much. Now check out this better version. A lone samurai stands on a snowy mountain peak under a full moon. See the difference? It paints a full picture. You can imagine the setting, the feeling, and even the lighting. So, think of your one-liner like a movie poster tagline. Clear, visual, and packed with meaning. Now let's get into mood, style, and art direction. When you're generating images with AI, the vibe you set, meaning the mood, and the art style you choose really shape how your image turns out. These 2 things together decide not just how your image looks, but how it feels. Is it dreamy, dark and mysterious, playful, epic? That emotional tone makes a big difference. At the same time, your art direction adds that professional finish. Whether you go with something like anime, watercolor, ultra-realistic 3D, or a digital painting, your choice of style totally transforms the final result. So yeah, mood and style are what give your prompt real personality. Alright, so first up, choosing the right mood and emotion. Mood is what sets the emotional tone of your image. It could be calm, intense, dreamy, dark, vibrant, you name it. And believe it or not, mood actually helps guide how the AI picks colors, lighting, and even the overall vibe of the composition. For example, a mysterious mood might give you fog, shadows, and a cooler color tone, while a romantic mood might feel warm, soft, and glowing. You can also get more specific when you're working with characters, by describing facial expressions or body language. Stuff like calm, angry, focused, joyful, heartbroken, or proud. These little emotional details can really bring your characters to life. Next, let's talk about art styles, one of the most fun parts of image prompting. The art style basically defines how your image will look and feel. Is it going to look like a photo, a cartoon, or a dreamy painting? This is super important because the right style can make or break the vibe of your image, especially if you're designing for something specific like a YouTube thumbnail, a product mockup, or a fantasy book cover. Now, here are some popular styles you'll see used a lot. Ultra-realistic or photorealistic. Looks just like a real photo. 3D render. Like something straight out of a video game or animated movie. Anime, colorful, bold, with that signature Japanese aesthetic. Pixar style, super polished, cute, cinematic. Oil painting, classic, textured, and rich. Watercolor, soft, flowy, and artistic. Digital painting, very flexible, and great for concept art. Low poly, simplified geometric look, kind of stylized. Pixel art, think retro video games. Sketch or line art, black and white, very raw and hand-drawn. Isometric, great for architecture or map-like scenes with a cool 3D angle. So, depending on your vision, pick a style that really fits your story or purpose. Alright, now let's kick it up a notch. If you really want to fine-tune how your image turns out, you can use some optional tags. These control how the image is rendered, and which colors dominate the vibe. First up, rendering types. These help define the artistic feel, like the final format or finish. You can go for concept art, rough, sketchy, great for brainstorming ideas. Matte painting, super detailed and cinematic, perfect for backgrounds. Poster art, bold and graphic, usually high contrast. Illustration, clean and drawn, kind of like book art. Minimalist, simple and focused, fewer details. Comic style, think bold outlines, dramatic tones, and speech bubbles if you want. Next, color palettes. These set the whole emotional temperature of the image. Warm tones, reds, oranges, cozy and inviting. Neon colors, bright, electric, very cyberpunk. Pastel, soft, dreamy, almost creamy. Monochrome, all in one color tone. Black and white, classic and clean. Gold and blue contrast, royal and cinematic. Vintage sepia, old school, faded photo style. Pro tip here, your art style plus your mood are what people notice first. So always get those two dialed in early, especially if you're designing characters, product mockups, or eye-catching thumbnails. Now let's talk about the G in IMAGES, and that's geography. Basically, this is all about where your scene is happening. The setting, the environment, the vibe of the place. Think of it like the world your subject lives in. Is it a peaceful forest? A glowing city? A stormy desert? That background gives context and depth to the entire image. Whether you're imagining a battle happening on a lava-filled wasteland, or a romantic cafe in the rain, geography is what brings that world to life. And when you get this part right, it totally transforms how your final image looks and feels. So yeah, don't skip this one. So let's break down how to describe your environment or location properly. Every strong image has a space, a world, where everything's happening. You've got to paint that space clearly with words. Is it an enchanted forest? A neon-lit alley? Maybe a floating island above the clouds? That kind of detail gives your image its backbone. Wanna go darker? Say, haunted forest. Wanna chill things out? Say, peaceful forest. Same forest, totally different mood. So yeah, don't just drop a location. Add some tone, that's where the real magic kicks in. Okay, so now let's talk about the vibe of your scene, and that comes from time of day, weather, and what's going on in the background. Time of day sets your lighting. You can say golden hour, sunset, sunrise, midday, even overcast. That one detail shifts the whole look. Then comes weather. Is it stormy, snowy, foggy, or sunny? That adds drama or softness to the mood. And finally, background elements. Things like neon signs, floating rocks, castle ruins, or even a burning sky. These little touches bring depth and richness to your image. Just remember, even if your image is abstract or super creative, it still lives somewhere. Always place it in a space. Alright, now we're on to the fun stuff, enhancements and special effects. The E in IMAGES stands for effects. This is where you take a good image and make it pop, feel alive, or even cinematic. These effects are usually optional, but man, they make a huge difference. Think glowing light beams, drifting fog, sparks, rain, or even an energy aura around your subject. It's like giving your image a final coat of magic. Not always needed, but when the scene calls for it, adding the right effect can level things up big time. So let's talk about what really brings an image to life: lighting, effects, and textures. Lighting is a total game changer. It sets the mood and tells your eyes where to look. Firelight makes things feel warm and dramatic. Rim light gives your subject shape. A soft ambient glow? That's dreamlike. And a harsh spotlight? Boom, instant intensity. Then you've got visual effects, stuff like sparks, smoke, fog, rain, or glowing energy trails. These don't just look cool, they add movement, magic, and life. And finally, textures. Want that armor to look heavy and metallic? Or that cloak to feel silky and light? Textures help sell that realism or stylize your scene. Wet surfaces, cracked stone, shimmering fabric, it's all about the details. So when should you throw in particles, cinematic lights, or fog? Let's break it down. If you want that big budget, movie-style vibe, go for cinematic lighting, spotlight beams, fog, or even lens flares. Total drama. For a magical or fantasy feel, glowing particles, little embers floating around, or trails of energy will do the trick. Makes everything feel enchanted. Now, for sci-fi scenes, think neon glows, sparks, maybe a few holograms. Boom, futuristic edge. And if you're going for mood, add mist for mystery, rain for tension, dust for that gritty, dystopian feel. But hey, here's a quick heads up. Don't overdo it. Too many effects can bury your main subject. So use them smartly, not randomly. Now let's talk about the small things that make a huge difference in your image quality. These are optional tags, but trust me, they sharpen your visuals like a pro. Want that cool glow or a magical aura around your character? Add it. Need motion blur for action shots? Perfect for making things feel alive and intense. Going for realism? Use subsurface scattering. It makes skin look soft and natural, not plastic. Want more depth? Backlighting or rim lighting adds that cinematic touch. And don't forget surface details, like scratches on armor, dirt on boots, or embroidery on clothing. These little touches make everything look way more polished. Pro tip. Tools like MidJourney or DALL usually give better results when you describe these effects after you've laid out your subject and setting. So save the sparkly stuff for the end of your prompt. We're at the final piece of the IMAGES formula, S, for shot and format. This is all about how your image is framed, what angle it's seen from, and how it's delivered, so it actually fits the platform or purpose you need. Let's talk about camera shots, because how much of the subject you showed totally changes the feel of your image. So here's the breakdown. A close-up, that's when you're zoomed in on the face or a detailed object. Great for portraits or emotional vibes. A medium shot? That's waist up, like in a conversation scene. Super common in interviews or character intros. Then there's the full body shot, head to toe. This one's perfect for character designs, especially if you want to show off the outfit and pose. Now if you want more storytelling or show the subject in the world, go with a wide shot. It captures both the character and the environment around them. And for that surreal map-like vibe, try an overhead or top-down shot. Really cool for scenes like battlefields, floor layouts, or magical realms. Quick tip. Always include the shot type in your prompt. It gives the AI better direction and helps frame the image exactly how you want it. Alright, let's talk aspect ratios. This just means the shape and orientation of your image. Super important depending on where you're gonna use it. Here's a quick breakdown. 9:16, that's your vertical format. Perfect for Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Stories. Basically, anything mobile first. 16:9, the classic landscape layout. Best for YouTube thumbnails, banners, presentations, super versatile. 1:1, the clean square format. Great for Instagram feeds, profile icons, or anywhere you want that nice balanced look. 4:5. Instagram loves this one for portrait posts. It's taller but still scroll friendly. And if you're going for print or photo books, 3:2 or 2:3 is the go-to. So yeah, always pick the right aspect ratio based on where your image is going. It makes a big difference. Okay, now let's talk quality and how to keep your images clean and professional. Want to make your images pop? Use resolution tags like HD, 4K, or even 8K. Or say things like high resolution, high detail, or high definition. These help the AI understand that you want super sharp, crisp results. Now here's the bonus part. Add some constraints to keep things clean. No text. No watermarks. No extra characters. No distortions. Clean background. These little details make a huge difference, especially if you're using the image for thumbnails, mockups, or any kind of professional content. Bullseye final tip? No matter what you're creating, framing and formatting always matter. They're what turn a decent image into a great one. Alright, you've made it through the full IMAGES formula, now it's time to put it into action. In this section, we're gonna show you real prompt examples. Side-by-side comparisons of weak versus strong prompts. Quick exercises to help you sharpen your prompting skills. Think of this as your creative gym, where your imagination meets structure. You'll see how just a few extra words, the right mood, the right effects, the right shot type, can completely transform your final image. Let's kick things off with a simple comparison. Weak prompt, a night in a forest. Now let's break it down. Way too vague. No visual style, no emotion. Missing any sense of framing, action, or story. Now, here's how that same idea transforms when we apply the IMAGES formula. Strong prompt. A brave female knight in golden armor standing in a misty enchanted forest at golden hour, holding a glowing sword, cinematic lighting, fantasy art style, full body shot, 4K, 916, no text, no blur. Now we have a clear subject with identity. The mood, setting, and action are vivid. Framing and formatting are defined, and the level of visual detail gives the AI real direction. See the difference? With just a few extra details, your image becomes cinematic and precise instead of basic or generic. Let's check out more examples. Let's walk through a complete image prompt using the IMAGES formula. Scenario. We want to generate fantasy character concept art. Identity. We start with the core subject, a female elven warrior standing in a glowing forest. Let's build on that. Subject type, elf, a humanoid fantasy being. Role, warrior. Gender and age, female, 120 years old, but appears 25, physical features, silver hair, pointed ears, and glowing violet eyes. Outfit, leaf embossed armor with emerald accents. Props, holding a long magical spear and wearing a glowing crystal pendant. Pose, standing heroically, looking to the side. This identity section alone gives the AI clear direction for subject design, styling, and emotion. Now let's move on to the next parts of the IMAGES formula, starting with mood. Mood. We're aiming for a mystical, powerful vibe. The character's expression is calm yet alert, like she senses danger but is in control. Art style. We'll go with a digital painting approach, perfect for fantasy illustration. The rendering style is concept art, and the color palette includes forest greens, soft purples, and silver highlights to match the elven theme. Geography. This scene is set in a bioluminescent forest, with glowing trees and magical plants. It's nighttime, the weather is clear but there's a layer of ambient mist floating through the air. In the background, we'll add floating will-o'-the-wisps and tall glowing mushrooms to deepen that fantasy atmosphere. All of this adds emotion, color, and depth, giving the AI plenty of context for creating a magical, immersive scene. Effects. To enhance the atmosphere, we'll add soft moonlight with a subtle glow along the subject's edges, creating depth and elegance. Floating particles and magical sparkles around the pendant to emphasize the enchanted setting. For texture, we include reflective armor and a mossy forest floor, giving it realism and artistic richness. Shot and format. We're framing this as a full-body shot to showcase the character design. Eye-level angle to keep the viewer connected and grounded. A 9:16 portrait ratio, ideal for vertical platforms. 4K quality for sharp, professional resolution. Constraints. No text, no watermark, no other characters, keeping the focus purely on our main subject. Final prompt. A female elven warrior with silver hair and glowing violet eyes stands heroically in a bioluminescent forest at night. She wears leaf-embossed emerald armor and holds a magical spear with a glowing crystal pendant. Mystical mood, digital painting fantasy style, concept art with forest greens and soft purple tones. Floating particles and magical glow effects, full body, eye-level shot, 9:16 portrait, 4K, no text or watermarks. This is a complete, vivid, and professional prompt, ready for high-quality AI image generation. Alright, let's check out example 2, a clean and modern product shot. This one's all about minimalist tech advertising. We start with identity. The idea? A sleek wireless earbud sitting on a marble surface under soft light. The subject is a tech product, and it's the hero item, the main focus. It has a glossy black finish, smooth curves, real high-end feel. No outfit needed here, obviously, but there is a charging case right next to it. No action either, it's just placed cleanly and intentionally, like you'd see in a product ad. Next, we go to mood. The vibe is clean, modern, and luxurious. There's no emotion here, but the lighting and simplicity make it feel premium. Now, art style. We're going with ultra-realistic rendering, something you'd expect from a top-tier commercial shoot. It's a studio-style image, and the color palette is monochrome, with touches of silver and white, keeping it classy. On to geography, the setting. The product is placed indoors, on a marble tabletop, with soft daylight creating gentle shadows. It's daytime, and the background is softly blurred, so nothing distracts from the product. Then comes effects. We've got soft lighting from above, creating nice clean highlights. There's subtle reflection on the earbud and case, which makes it pop. Textures include the smooth marble, and that glossy finish on the device really makes it feel real. Finally, shot and format. We go for a top-down camera angle, the classic product flat lay. Aspect ratio? 1:1 square, perfect for platforms like Instagram. High-quality 4K resolution, and of course, no text, watermarks, or clutter. So here's the final prompt all stitched together. A sleek wireless earbud with a glossy black finish sits on a luxurious white marble surface under soft diffused daylight. A matching charging case rests beside it. The image has a clean, modern, and luxurious mood, rendered in ultra-realistic product style with monochrome tones and silver accents. Studio lighting with soft shadows and subtle reflections. Top-down view, 1:1 aspect ratio, 4K resolution, no text or watermarks. And that's it, a clean, polished, and professional product scene, ready to plug into any ad or landing page. Alright, time for example 3, and this one's a little different. We're not dealing with characters or people at all. This is all about creating a stunning environment scene, with the AI focused purely on the setting. We kick things off with identity. The image idea? A futuristic floating city hovering above the clouds. Sounds epic already. The subject is the cityscape itself, no humans, no faces, no characters to describe. So most of the usual identity stuff like role, outfit, props, we can skip all that here. The city is the star. Now let's move to mood. The mood we're going for is majestic and full of futuristic wonder. It's meant to feel awe-inspiring, like something out of a next-gen sci-fi movie. No emotion needed, the scene speaks for itself. On to art style. We're choosing matte painting with a sci-fi concept art vibe. And the color palette? Cool blues and silver tones, perfect for that sleek, otherworldly feel. Next up is geography. We're imagining a floating city suspended high above the clouds, and the time of day is golden hour, so you get those warm, dramatic lighting effects. The weather is clear, but there's a layer of mist below, adding depth. And as for the background, we've got airships flying around, and giant floating platforms holding up this futuristic city. Now let's hit effects. There's a soft ambient sci-fi glow coming from the buildings, and light beams connecting different towers. Fog drifts around the platforms, adding atmosphere, and the textures include glassy surfaces and glowing panels, super slick and futuristic. And finally, shot and format. We're going with a wide shot, from a slightly top-down angle, so we capture both the city and the clouds below. The aspect ratio is 16:9, perfect for cinematic use, and we're rendering it in 8K for ultra-sharp details. Also, we're adding the usual constraints, no text, no watermarks, no characters, so the focus stays 100% on the environment. Here's the final prompt all put together. A futuristic floating city suspended above the clouds at golden hour, with giant platforms and airships flying between them. Majestic, sci-fi matte painting style using cool blue and silver tones. Ambient sci-fi lighting with light beams and subtle fog. Glassy textures and glowing panels enhance realism. Wide shot, slight top-down view, 16:9 aspect ratio, 8K quality, no text or characters. And there you go, a powerful environmental prompt with zero characters, but full of imagination. And that's a wrap on the IMAGES formula. You now know how to write clear, powerful prompts for stunning AI visuals. Up next, we flip the process. In the next lesson, we'll dive into reverse image prompting, turning images back into prompts. It's quick, fun, and super useful. See you there.